story is about a corporate intern, Zhou Ming, who recently joined Chongming Company. He's constantly bullied by his seniors and peers, treating him like their personal slave, always making coffee for them. However, not everyone treats him so harshly. There's this lady who advises him to stand up for himself and learn to say no to the others. Upon seeing her, the guy starts blushing, and I dare say he's quite smitten. Anyway, we find out this girl is Su Ruoqing, a senior at the company who also attended the same university as our hero. She's been the only one showing kindness to him in this company so far. He blushes as he steals glances at her. In his moment of awkwardness, he clumsily overfills the coffee cup, burning his hand and soaking his pants. The girl quickly grabs tissues and starts blotting the coffee stain, getting close enough to make the boy blush even more. Seeing his embarrassment, she asks why he's so flustered, pointing out she's just his senior, not a stranger. He had already started to imagine clapping her cheeks after getting hard seeing her big hooters, but his hopes are probably dashed when she casually refers to him as her little brother. Suddenly, another arrogant senior appears and points at our hero, ordering him to take a pile of gifts and distribute them to each department. This time, our hero finally stands up for himself, firmly stating that it's not his job. Naturally, the senior gets furious and argues that he's just helping our hero get acquainted with each department quickly. The lady decides to accompany the boy on this task, but the cocky senior politely suggests she doesn't need to do such menial work and assigns her a better task. She leans closer to Zhou Ming and advises him to just comply with the senior's request, promising they'll have a good time later. The boy agrees, but just then, the cocky guy slaps a heavy bag of gifts into our hero's face, causing the contents to spill everywhere. Once again, the cocky guy berates Zhou Ming for not catching the bag. Poor guy starts picking up the gifts, seething with anger once Senior Lin Xiong walks away, muttering about how he'd tear him to shreds if it weren't for needing the paycheck. Suddenly, his phone rings, showing an ad for some sketchy game promising an outlet for his anger, and freedom for all money-related problems. Despite knowing it looks shady, he taps the download button. In the next moment, arcane energy bursts from the phone, opening a portal to another world, and he's unceremoniously kicked through it. While rubbing his ass like he just got smacked with a bamboo, he turns and sees zombies trying to break through a fence to reach him. As he sees the monsters, it dawns on him that he must have stumbled into another world. Abruptly, a system window pops up, declaring that the Apocalypse Tycoon system is now bound to him, where he can exchange points using gold or crystals. It also warns of a 12-hour cooldown before he can jump once again back into his own world and this apocalypse world. While he is feeling terrified by this sudden shift and system nonsense, the fence holding back the zombies collapses. The zombies immediately chase after him, prompting the scaredy cat to sprint for his miserable life. As he frantically calls for help, someone suddenly pulls the pin of a grenade. A badass lady makes a dramatic entrance, throwing grenades at the zombies. The explosions obliterate the zombies, and she lands gracefully as the blast behind her sends the undead flying. The guy thanks her for her help, but the girl shrugs it off, saying it's just part of her job. She jokingly thanks him for screaming like a maniac, which helped her pinpoint where the zombies were breaching their territory. In gratitude, the dude offers her a mooncake from one of the gift boxes. The lady seems puzzled, not recognizing what it is. When she takes a bite, her brain goes absolutely nuts with the surge of dopamine, and she admits she's never tasted anything like it before. The guy tells her to stop exaggerating, as it's just a freaking cake, but she even gives him a piece of gold in exchange for that deliciousness she had. Before leaving, she advises him to sell the mooncakes for a higher price in the market, and they will be sold in a blink of an eye there. Zhou Ming asks for her name before she heads off, and she introduces herself as Lin Xun. After a while, we find ourselves in the marketplace of the settlements, where merchants are already hustling to sell their stuff, hyping up how amazing their stuff is. Meanwhile, our clueless guy also sits there with his own little stall, proudly showing off his mooncakes with a thin, crunchy crust and delicious fillings that he swears won't let you down. A crowd starts gathering as word spreads about the mooncakes. One guy remembers about his grandpa mentioning such treats, and a girl wonders aloud if these goodies actually exist in this messed-up, post-apocalyptic world. When the crowd asks about the price, Zhou Ming beams with a smile and says he is selling them for just 1 gram of gold for a piece of cake. One dude gets all cocky, saying Zhou Ming's stuff is pricier than an 8GB MacBook. But Zhou Ming, using his sales skills, pitches that in this uncertain world, people gotta enjoy tasty treats while they can, and if they missed the chance, they might not get another shot. One guy in the crowd agrees with our hero and buys a mooncake. Onlookers start gossiping, suggesting the buyer must be rich, probably a mercenary. When the mercenary chows down on the mooncake, it's like flavor fireworks in his mouth. Total ecstasy. He's so hooked to the taste that he offers 100 grams of gold for more cakes. After seeing that mercenary, more people line up to throw their stash of cash just to have some taste of this deliciousness. Once everyone takes a bite, their reactions are pure bliss, as if they've just tasted a slice of heaven. As night settles, Zhou Ming has filled an entire pouch of gold after selling 600 grams of mooncakes, which is an absolute victory for the former corporate slave who had endured bullying. Suddenly, a shady figure appears with a dagger, pressing it against our boy's back, demanding he hand over everything he's earned or face his death. Zhou Ming's face gets pale to hear this as he's unwilling to give out his hard-earned money. The robber gets impatient and decides to kill Zhou Ming right away for the loot. But just as the knife is about to strike, the 12-hour cooldown for teleportation in the system expires, and our hero immediately commands the system to teleport him away. Before the robber can strike, my guy vanishes into thin air, leaving the fool baffled at how a big dude could just disappear like that. The portal opens directly into his room, and the boy lets out a sigh of relief, knowing he narrowly escaped his death thanks to the cooldown ending. Seeing all that gold, he goes wild with happiness, planning to grab some mooncakes and return to the apocalyptic world to sell his goods once the cooldown resets. The next day at the office arrives, and the usual routine of being yelled at by his seniors begins. But this time, instead of taking it lying down, my guy stands up like a man and makes it clear he's not anyone's punching bag to vent their frustrations on. Then another bald guy tries to boss him around, demanding coffee. Once again, my guy bluntly refuses, telling him to go screw yourself. The baldy McShine turns to the blondie, asking why Zhou Ming isn't obeying their orders despite Blondie being a director. Blondie then calls out to our hero to assert his dominance, but my guy does not give a damn about what this guy behind him has to say. Witnessing his newfound boldness, the lady with her big chest arrives and asks Zhou Ming where all this confidence is suddenly coming from. While blushing, Zhou Ming reminds her that she was the one who taught him to stand up for himself against those who push him around. Of course, that's not entirely true. His confidence mainly stems from the money he raked in last night. Well, they do say money gives guts to a man, and our hero's no exception. He checks his watch and realizes it's almost time for another teleportation. Shortly after, he finds himself back in the apocalyptic world. This time, he's brought canned beef and is confident it'll fetch him a lot of money. But it seems his potential customers, mindless as they are, aren't likely to pay a penny. He sprints away to dodge these freeloaders, but he soon realizes he's carrying too much to escape unharmed. To save his hide, he grabs a bunch of cans and throws them towards the zombies, who immediately swarm over the delicious meat on the ground. He hides behind a giant rock, but the monsters aren't satisfied and seem to want more. Instead of fleeing, he decides to confront them. He opens his system, searching for skills or items to fight off these creatures. Happily, he exchanges 100 points for a skill called Graveyard Strike. He immediately starts kicking the zombies with his bare legs, taking a strong stance and challenging them to come at him. After pounding the shit out of these creatures, he finally stops and chuckles, amazed at how ridiculously broken this system is, giving him enough power to take down those critters all at once. Suddenly, a car honks, and someone shouts praises towards our hero for his excellent skills. These guys turn out to be mercenaries who were on their way to assist Zhou Ming after seeing him in a panic, but they didn't expect him to beat the zombies so effectively. One of them asks for our hero's identity and introduces himself as a member of the Corpse Hunters. More zombies come rushing at them, so they yell at our hero to hop in the car and they take off speeding. The guy hands Zhou Ming a gun, warning him not to waste bullets since they're precious. But Zhou Ming has never even seen a real gun before. He's stunned watching the skilled hunter take down zombies with such accuracy. He figures he better learn fast if he wants to survive in this crazy world. The driver tells Zhou Ming to start shooting right away, saying it's how you gotta live like a man. But our guy, used to being a corporate punching bag, feels a bit awkward about it. He checks his system and finds he can get basic gun skills for 100 points. So, he starts blasting those zombies to let off steam and learn on the fly. While they're busy taking out zombies with bullets, one particular zombie charges straight at them. Zhou Ming is shocked to see this undead sprinting towards them. The corpse hunter explains it's a second-class zombie, faster and tougher than the usual ones, so they need to be careful. Zhou Ming nearly choked to death when he saw the zombie lunges at them, taking down the corpse hunter. Before the poor guy is choked to death, Zhou Ming steps in. He delivers a knee smash to the zombie and shoves the gun's barrel into its mouth, blowing its brains out with the barrage of bullets. The corpse hunter gives props to our hero for his guts and strength, impressed by how he took down a second-class zombie like it was nothing. Zhou Ming smiles back, grateful they saved his life, and he didn't want them to die either. Hoodie Guy plops down to inspect the zombie and finds a crystal, which surprises everyone. Apparently, these crystals formed by zombies are ranked from 1 to 9, and this one is a second-class zombie core. The hunter immediately offers the crystal to Zhou Ming, insisting it's repayment for saving his life. Zhou Ming, still thinking like a former corporate slave, hesitates about accepting such an expensive item, but the soldier happily insists that Zhou Ming deserves it for saving his brother's life. They also show him some first-class crystals, which aren't as valuable but should fetch enough to buy ammo and food at least. At this point, Zhou Ming starts thinking about becoming a hunter, Even though it's risky, the money in this gig is insane. The hunter eagerly invites Zhou Ming to join their crew, but he politely says he needs to think it over. The guy in the hoodie assures him it's just their captain's thing to invite promising folks like him. They speed towards their military camp in the car. Zhou Ming chills in the back, checking out the crystal he got. Right then, a system window pops up, eyeing it as a second-class zombie core and asking if he wants to turn it into points. No hesitation. He says yes. And poof, the crystal's gone. And he's got 100 points as an exchange. Stoked, Zhou Ming figures that crystal must be worth like 100 grams of gold to score him that many points. Feels like he just hit the jackpot. The system then notifies him that he seems to be carrying a lot of baggage and asks if he'd like to purchase storage space. It costs 100 points for 1 cubic meter. Without hesitation, he buys the storage to lighten the load of cans weighing down his scrawny shoulders. After a bit of driving, they reach the refugee camp. They'll head to the central zone soon, so the driver tells everyone to buckle up. On the road, they pass civilians begging for food, willing to do anything for even a single potato. When they arrive at the base, the soldiers open the base door. The corpse hunter captain immediately shows his ID at the door. An eager soldier asks the captain how much he earned today. The captain proudly says they earned enough to buy some food, pointing at our hero as the major loot they snagged on their hunt, and tells the soldier to give our boy a pass to enter the base. Once they enter inside the safe zone area, the central zone, our hero gets his ID card for this place, and the captain decided to take a leave as he have other matters to attend to. They waves at each other one last time, and my guy immediately summons his can of beef back. He is absolutely looking forward to earn around $37 million with just $20 of investment. A while later, we find ourselves in the market, where everyone is selling their goods. Our hero is amazed to see everyday items from his world treated as luxury goods with high prices. Suddenly, he's startled by someone who looks like another corpse hunter, massive muscles intimidating our hero as he asks if he can see his gun. Zhou Ming deliberately starts speaking loudly to attract attention, accusing the muscular guy of attempting a felony in broad daylight and shouting for help. The gorilla quickly reassures him that he's just here to sell guns and points out his entire stall dedicated to firearms. Seeing our hero with bounty hunters, he figured he might need some solid weapons too. Zhou Ming is quite surprised to see someone openly selling guns. The merchant quickly explains that in this messed up world, people need guns for protection. He boasts that his guns are top-notch and offers Zhou Ming a 20% discount, demanding 5 Tier 2 crystals in return. But Zhou Ming honestly admits he doesn't have a single penny to givel. Hearing this, the merchant is disgusted and tells this broke ass to get the hell away from his sight. That's when Zhou Ming plays his ace. He tells the merchant to treat his customers better and pulls out a can of beef, claiming it's worth more than any fancy crystals. The merchant's taken aback and admits that canned food is more valuable than anything else around. Zhou Ming gets cocky and lets the merchant have a peek at the food. He cracks open the seal, and the moment the merchant lays eyes on it, he starts drooling over the delicious meal. He agrees to swap any gun for 5 cans. Zhou Ming immediately shakes the merchant's hand and picks out a gun, asking where he can get bullets for this beauty. The merchant gives him the precise location of an ammunition store. When Zhou Ming arrives at the store, he sees others making purchases and gets in line to ask for ammunition for his gun. The lady behind the counter informs him it's 10 grams of gold per box, with a free box if he buys 10. Our hero is shocked at how ridiculously expensive it is. The lady doesn't hold back, starting to badmouth him, calling him a broke piece of shit who can't even scrape together money for something that could save his life. If I were in this idiot's shoes, I would have squeezed the hell out of her jiggly assets for bad-mouthing. Anyway, Zhou pulls out a gold bar asking if this would cover enough ammo for this poor guy. The ladies all smile seeing that fat gold bar and quickly offers him a bunch of ammo boxes. Then, she pulls out her business card from her cleavage and tells him to hit her up for all his ammo needs. The stupid simp immediately takes her card, and as he walks out of her stall, he decides to head back home. Once he arrives, he lays out all the loot he gathered from that apocalyptic world. With no clue what to do with it all, there's a knock on the door, leaving him scrambling to hide everything. He doesn't want to look like a terrorist. It turns out to be his coworker, Suro King, at the door. He hurriedly gathers up the stuff and tells her to wait outside while he hides it. After stuffing everything under his bed, he opens the door. He's surprised to see her and asks why she's here. She casually mentions she made too much food and came to share. Teasingly, she asks why he kept her waiting outside for so long. He honestly admits he was just cleaning up a mess. The boy places the food box in a refrigerator while he can't help but admire her, wondering if she could be his future wife. He starts imagining scenarios where he comes home late from work and finds her in her nightsuit, ready for some intimate time. Coming back to reality, the girl points out that since this room belongs to a virgin, there must be a lot of hidden stuff. The boy blushes and assures her he's innocent, and there's nothing there. But let's face it, the stuff he's stashed under his bed is way scarier than just some dirty magazines. Suddenly, the lady notices something shiny on the ground, and the boy nearly jumps out of his skin in shock to see it. He impulsively lunges at her like a total creep, almost falling over her, but quickly scrambles back and apologizes, admitting her beauty just hijacked his brain. Surprisingly, she seems okay by his forwardness, even hinting she wouldn't have minded if he kept going. She leaves, teasing him that it's normal for a young guy to get excited after seeing her. The boy is convinced she'll despise him for his awkward moves, but as she exits, she confesses it makes her happy that he likes her. Left alone, the virgin boy is completely flustered to think that she might actually like him back. He slaps his face, deciding to put these thoughts aside because he has more pressing matters to deal with. He steps outside to find more food for his return to the apocalyptic world and spots a guy selling surplus potatoes at a bargain. His quick mind decides potatoes are safer than fancy canned food, which might attract trouble in that chaotic world. Approaching the old man, he inquires about the price, and the old-timer offers a 20% discount since they're unsold. The boy agrees to take all of them and asks if they can be delivered to his place, though he doubts the old man can manage to pull the carriage to his home. Or so our idiot thought. The old man suddenly tears off his shirt, revealing a ripped, muscular physique that leaves the boy slightly unnerved. With the mountain of potatoes now stacked in his home, he's overwhelmed and starting to regret not doing the math before buying. Next, we find Zhou Ming wandering through the marketplace with his potatoes, pondering what to buy with them. He heads to a blacksmith's shop, where the smith waves him over to check out his handmade weapons for fighting zombies. Curious, the boy asks why anyone would use traditional melee weapons when there are high-tech guns available. The old man explains that while guns are effective, they're noisy, attract zombies, need frequent maintenance, and can become useless if something goes wrong. The best zombie hunters often rely on tried-and-true methods. The boy nods in understanding, impressed that there are alternative ways to protect himself when he runs out of ammo. The boy then asks for how much he is selling his weapons for, to which the smith says that he only accepts food as a way of payment, and he only accepted good food. The boy starts to feel a bit down, thinking the smith wouldn't be interested in something as ordinary as potatoes. But to his surprise, the smith gets all riled up, eyes gleaming at the sight of the fine potatoes with their golden peel and amazing smell. The old man wastes no time and agrees to exchange his best knife for the potatoes. He shows Zhou Ming the zombie slicer, a sword embedded with crystals that does significant damage to zombies. It's his most prized possession. Our clueless buddy is really confused, wondering if such a thin sword wouldn't break after a few uses. The smith assures him that the sword absorbs the crystals from zombie bodies, and the more crystals it absorbs, the stronger it becomes. Hearing this, the boy is thrilled. Who knew a sack of potatoes could score him something so valuable? Zhou Ming checks his stats and decides to spend 100 points to acquire elementary sword mastery. Feeling more confident, he heads out of the bustling marketplace and into the forested outskirts. As soon as zombies approach him, he swiftly pulls out his newly acquired zombie slicer. With a big smirk on his face, he swings the sword, slashing through the zombies' necks as effortlessly as slicing cucumbers for a salad. The sword moves with precision and grace, its surface remaining slick and cool even as blood slides off it, leaving it as pristine as if it had never been used. Zhou Ming is impressed with the sword's effectiveness and durability, feeling a surge of excitement knowing he's well equipped to handle the challenges of this dangerous world. He quickly collects the crystal from the monster he defeated. Suddenly, he hears a gunshot and spots a lady blasting away at some zombies nearby. She seems annoyed that these level 1 zombies aren't dropping enough loot for her to restock on ammo. When a level 2 zombie charges at her, she eagerly aims her gun, expecting better loot from this tougher foe. Despite emptying an entire magazine into it, the zombie with the long tongue remains unaffected by the barrage of bullets. She reaches for another magazine tucked in her cleavage, but the monster moves so fast that it grabs her hand before she can reload her gun. Her magazine falls to the ground, and she struggles to free her hand from the zombie's grip. Soon after, the zombie grabs her entirely with its tongue and starts slobbering all over her. The girl feels disgusted by the slimy tongue rubbing against her chest, though I'm pretty sure she might secretly enjoy it. Who knows? That's when our hero jumps in, sword in hand, and slices off the monster's tongue in one swift swing. The monster screams in agony as our hero goes for another swing to finish it off for good. But the monster quickly regenerates its tongue, grabs Zhou Ming's sword, and flings it away like a toddler losing their favorite candy. Even the monster finds it hilarious to see our hero's reaction to losing his sword. But the monster's moment of delight is cut short when it takes direct bullets that pierce right through its body. And the happy trigger soldier behind the shots is our hero, of course. Once the monster is down, he quickly collects the crystal, but then he remembers the girl and rushes back to her. He starts calling out to her, asking if she's okay. It's clear she's far from okay, because the poison on her body is corrosive and needs immediate treatment. The boy immediately finds a river, washes her off, and covers her naked body with his jacket. When the lady wakes up and realizes she's without clothes, she's utterly embarrassed and shocked, clueless about how she ended up like this. Seeing our hero without his shirt makes her even madder, and she throws a rock straight at Jo Ming's face. But my guy catches the rock and reassures her that he didn't clap her cheeks or anything, and explains that her body was covered in poison from the level 2 zombie, and if he hadn't helped her wash it off, she might have died by now. The girl gets even more embarrassed when she realizes this guy touched her whole body during the process. He tries to assure her he only touched her from the waist up, but she's still not feeling any better about it. To lighten the mood, the boy whips out some delicious potatoes and tells her she can have them as compensation. The lady's taken aback but dives right into those potatoes, enjoying every damn bite. Even if she's munching on a raw potato, it's all good. Then the boy suggests adding some Laogan dye sauce for extra flavor. The lady points out that this stuff doesn't exist here and that she's always wanted to try it, but it's ridiculously pricey. Right now, she eagerly spreads the sauce over the potatoes and takes bites, finding it delicious with every mouthful. Looks like the dude's found a new side gig, selling spices to make some more hard cash. The girl jumps in and asks our hero if he'd sell her the rest of that Laogan dye sauce. The boy's a bit surprised at first, but then he hands over the whole bottle, saying he'd be happy to sell it. The lady is floored to get the entire bottle for free. She starts getting suspicious because one of these babies could easily fetch 10 gold pieces in the market, yet this guy's just giving it away. It makes her curious about who this guy really is. Then the boy asks if she'd want more of this good stuff in the future. The girl nods eagerly, saying she'd love to, but her wallet's not exactly bursting with cash right now. The boy then blurts out that she could just trade other stuff, like her body. The girl blushes at that and shoves him back, getting defensive, saying she's not selling herself for food and money. The boy quickly clarifies he didn't mean it that way, explaining he wants to hire her. He promises she'll work for him, and in return, he'll feed her and provide all the gear she needs to survive. The lady starts choking him again, demanding to know why he didn't mention this earlier. Then she agrees to his terms, but insists she's only working for him from now on, and won't do anything else he might be imagining under his command. The dude immediately starts daydreaming wildly, imagining her in a bunny suit, and the girl tells her to think of her as a zombie and urging him to shoot her with his gun, whatever gun that might be. You get the idea. Seeing him drooling, the girl jokingly starts choking him, and he quickly apologizes for his messed up imaginations. They get down to business, and Jo Ming reveals that near the market palace, there are mostly low-level zombies. The girl explains that there are actually 9 levels of zombies, and there is a surge in the area of level 3 zombies. The boy looks confused and asks how there can be 9 types when he's heard there are only 8 levels. The lady clarifies that the 9th level is considered special because these zombies can vary greatly in strength, ranging from weak like a level 1 to strong enough to control level 8 zombies. As they walk, our hero smells a guy who reeks like death, almost making him gag. The lady points out that water is hard to come by, so it's normal for people not to shower for weeks or even 2. The boy then teases her, asking if she hasn't showered for a week or 2 as well. The lady blushes and quickly denies it, insisting she frequently goes to the river to clean up. Suddenly, a girl with glasses shows up, calling out to the orange head as Xu Nuo. The white head charmingly asks why she's late. Xu Nuo rushes toward her friend, asking if the starving wolf gang didn't come to raid them today, to which the white-haired girl replies they have nothing valuable left here anyway. Suddenly, Glasses Girl looks dizzy, almost fainting, and abruptly collapses. Our hero rushes to catch her, asking if she's okay, and she just says she's hungry. Hearing this, the boy pulls out the potato, and Glasses Girl perks up at the sight of this deliciousness. As she digs into the potato, our hero asks who she is. Xu Nuo then explains she's her neighbor. It's funny how everyone around here seems to be munching on raw potatoes. The girl introduces herself as Wen Wen, the programmer girl, and for some of us, she's also potential booba waifu material. Anyway, Juno reveals that there's no working internet in this world anymore, making all her programming skills useless here. Hearing this, Wen Wen feels a chill run down her spine and agrees, saying that no matter how good her skills might be, they probably wouldn't even be worth a single potato peel in this place. But Jo Ming encourages her to keep programming because he's interested and might even buy her work. He promises to compensate her for her efforts. In his mind, he explains to us that this era is technologically more advanced than his own, so he's confident there are talented people here who can help him build another business. The girl then shows us her pen drive, saying it contains all the data she's collected over the years for her program End of the World Encyclopedia. It includes details on monsters, geography, issues, resources, and can even perform data analysis. The dude is shocked to hear about so much utility in a pen drive, but then the girl sighs and admits it's only a semi-finished product. She needs more time and manpower to complete the full version, which seems impossible without help. She agrees with her friend that her efforts might be in vain and considers becoming a corpse hunter. However, the boy promises her food and safety as long as she can find someone to assist with the project and finish it on time. The girl gets excited and immediately agrees, saying she knows some programmers. As long as our boy provides food, all the research results will belong to him. After sealing the deal, they start getting buddy-buddy with each other, leaving Shunuo pouting cutely on the side, feeling jealous. She mutters that with all that food, she could easily recruit help from a hunter clan. Hearing this, the boy turns to her eagerly and says that's exactly what he's thinking. If they can gather enough people, everyone will get food, full equipment, and he promises to make her the leader. This gold digger perks up at the juicy offer, her frustrated jealousy turning into a happy grin. She lunges at our hero, hugging him so tight her boobs squash against his chest. Then she takes off, promising to return soon with a crew. Almost half an hour later, she returns with a bunch of people. Jo-ming doesn't seem entirely satisfied with the small group, but the girl puffs out her chest proudly, which she probably shouldn't being a girl, and declares they're all highly skilled. With proper feeding, they'll only get better. The boy introduces himself as someone who came from a faraway place who never lies. He explains that if everyone helps him, they'll be fed, and the more they work, the more food they'll get. Simple as that. Meanwhile, in the background, two people whisper to each other, plotting to take the food and run at the first chance to avoid zombie attacks. Just then, a bullet whizzes past their heads, hitting a tree trunk behind them. Our hero makes it clear to these terrified people that he won't tolerate any shady plans. Meanwhile, the others are thrilled to see the potatoes, believing their time of starvation has finally ended. After that, the boy decides to buy some equipment. Shortly after, we stumble upon a pair of zombie lovebirds in the woods, who are quickly obliterated by bullets by our hero's party members. The boy scolds them for wasting bullets, urging them to aim for the head next time. Suddenly, an annoyed pig-like dude emerges from the woods, arrogantly demanding to know who dares to shoot in their starving wolf clan territory. Recognizing the redhead, he gets even angrier, warning her to flee or face death. The lady just smirks, and her followers quickly aim their big guns at the pig-like guy. More enemies join the scene, calling our hero stupid and demanding he hand over his weapons if he values his life. But our guy has his own sass. He remarks that it's rude to point guns while talking, and with those words he draws his sword and slashes the cocky guy's hand, causing blood to spill as he writhes in pain on the ground. Joe looks like an absolute mad lad with his sword, and his lackeys behind him resemble wild beasts ready for command. The guy with the cut hand warns that our hero has picked a fight with the starving wolf gang, boasting their boss is strong enough to take out mutant zombies and will wipe the floor with everyone here. The scaredy cats decide to flee to report back to their boss. But my guy tells the cocky dude to hold on. The once cocky guy trembles at our hero's words, and Joe cracks his fingers eagerly. After beating the crap out of them, they strip them of everything, even their clothes. The boy tells them to scram and warns them never to mess with the weak again, or they'll get another beating. Next, we're at the starving wolf clan headquarters. The same lackey reports back to their leader that some guy not only trespassed but also dissed the clan big time by calling the leader and the whole clan a bunch of losers. Hearing this, the leader stands up all angry, promising to get revenge on our hero for dissing the clan. But then he turns on the lackey, calling him useless for coming back naked and scared, and, well, you can guess what happens next. The poor lackey meets his end by his own leader's hand. Back with our party, they're having a beer bash, and Jo-ming is pumped that they gathered so much loot thanks to everyone's hard work. He tells them to eat up and enjoy themselves. Everyone cheers and raises their glasses in toast. Meanwhile, the two dudes decide to call it a night since it's late. The next morning arrives, and our boy wakes up feeling exhausted. His hands ache from fatigue, and he realizes he drank too much last night. He's not quite sure what went down. Suddenly, he notices someone's hand resting on his body. When he turns to look, he sees the lady sleeping right beside him. She wakes up, mentioning she hasn't drank that much in ages. Seeing her there without her top, the dude starts totally blushing. When the lady notices him, she becomes anxious and immediately starts strangling him, demanding to know what he did last night. The poor guy points out that he can't remember either, because he was also drunk. At that moment, the programmer girl appears in the tent with pleasant news that she's done with her research. When they both see the lady, they freeze in embarrassment. The white-haired girl wonders if she came at the wrong time, but both guys frantically assure her they were absolutely doing nothing of the sort. The glasses girl grins, saying she already knows. They were so drunk last night that she just put them together. Shuno asks them why she was lying naked there, to which Wenwen explains that both of them were vomiting so much that she had to undress them. Shuno playfully pinches Wenwen's cheek, teasing her for not even putting on her bra. Nevertheless, Wenwen perks up with happiness again and presents the pen drive containing everything. She assures them that even a dummy could use this thing. The boy gets a bit creeped out by her comment and asks if she's implying he's a dummy, letting her know he understands programming too. Back in the office in the original world, we see our hero annoyed by this blonde boss barking orders at him once more, piling on work and threatening him with salary deductions if he doesn't meet deadlines. Suddenly, Miss Booba of the Year shows up and tosses her melons right over the idiot's head. She offers to give our hero a hand if the workload gets too heavy. The boy blushes after feeling those melons and insists he can handle it on his own. He proudly whips out the pen drive, and when he uses it, a bunch of digital nonsense starts popping up. Our hero figures out he can use this program to hack into other people's computers. Taking a peek, he catches Baldy McShine watching some pretty spicy videos. He also spots his blonde boss working with rival companies. Feeling bold, he decides to spill all the secrets of this shady character. Nearly 2 hours later, the blonde boss strolls in again, asking about their progress. The poor interns are completely exhausted, complaining about being overworked and underpaid. That's when our hero steps in and exposes the blonde boss for collaborating with their rival company. He dramatically reveals the evidence by blowing up all the documents for everyone to see. As soon as they glimpse the papers, the interns are furious. They realize the blonde was making them develop personal projects taken from their rival company. But the blonde guy stays cocky, reminding everyone that they're just a bunch of shithead interns who can't do jack against him. That's when the director walks in and asks the blonde what he was just saying. The cocky blonde turns into a desperate, scaredy cat, trying to explain that it's not what it looks like. But the director isn't having any of it and tells the interns he'll handle the matter personally. Still, our hero makes it clear that he won't be working for this company anymore because there are too many moles. He says goodbye to the director, and the others join him, realizing there's no point in staying at a company where they're being ground to the bone for peanuts. In the next moment, the entire office is empty, with just the subtle sound of the wind. The director blames the blonde for all this mess and tells him he's fired on the spot. Once they're outside, our hero apologizes, saying he didn't expect everyone to jump ship along with him. They explain they were already fed up with that blonde jerk and his antics, but now they're worried about finding new jobs and surviving until then. The boy reassures them he's got some cash saved up and is even thinking of starting his own company. He asks for their contact details, promising that if they need any help, they'll always have a spot with him. The ex-interns are thrilled to hear this. The next day dawns, and we're back in the post-apocalyptic world. Our hero, tired of selling and reselling stuff, decides it's time to start his own company. Suddenly, his two comrades rush in with bad news. Shunuo is in danger. They explain that after offending the Starving Wolf clan last time, bandits attacked them while Shunuo was out buying supplies. To protect everyone, Juno led them into the forest to distract the attackers. The boy jumps on his bike and instructs his comrades to return to base and call for backup while he goes to rescue Shunuo. He revs the engine and speeds off to save her. Meanwhile, Juno races her jeep as fast as it can go, with the thugs hot on her tail on their motorcycles. They eventually cut her off, blocking her path. One cocky guy demands she stop if she values her life, while another orders his friends to capture her and take her to their boss. As terror grips the lackeys' faces, a sudden explosion rocks the area, sending them into a panic. Before they can react, a teddy bear lands right next to one of the lackeys' faces. The figure standing there terrifyingly reveals that it's not a teddy bear, but before they react, the teddy bear explodes, shattering the lackey's head into pieces. Surprisingly, it wasn't our hero behind this brutal act, but rather a cute girl. Her cute expression quickly transforms into that of a crazy woman as she pulls the pin from another grenade and hurls it toward the terrified thugs, obliterating them in an instant. The girl savors the moment of destruction, and Shunuo recognizes her, calling her Tina. Tina rushes over to Shunuo, embracing her tightly. They both express relief at seeing each other again after so long. Shuno is grateful Tina arrived just in time, preventing what could have been a catastrophe for her. While the two ladies are sharing the warmth of their sisterhood, a shady figure lurks in the shadows, none other than the leader of the Starving Wolf gang. Suddenly, the burned lackey pleads for his boss to save him, but his plea is cut short as his boss smashes his comrade's skull to silence him. Turning to the young girl, the gang leader asks if she's awakened and invites her to join the Starving Wolf gang, promising her unlimited food and drink. With a charming smile, the girl agrees, pretending to be interested, but then she surprises them by throwing a bunch of grenades, blasting the area. However, the monstrous gang leader emerges from the fire seemingly unfazed, ready to strike at the girl. Meanwhile, our hero speeds through the woods to reach Shunuo. He catches a whiff of something burning and abruptly stops. His face turns pale as he sees the Starving Wolf clan leader standing there, having just demolished both girls. Shu is absolutely livid at the sight, while this cocky clan leader infuriates our hero by showing him the middle finger. The boy wastes no time charging at the man with his fist ready, delivering a solid punch right to the man's face. The impact sends him crashing into a nearby tree, which splits into two pieces. With the jacked-up gorilla momentarily out of the way, the boy rushes to the injured girl and asks if she's okay. The girl manages to flash a faint smile, saying she's been beaten twice today, so she's not feeling great. Meanwhile, the gorilla quickly gets back on his feet, throwing off his robe and preparing to fight our hero head-on. Seeing the gorilla charging straight at him, the boy braces himself, ready to absorb the impact. When the Wolfgang leader throws a punch, our guy gets blasted backward and flung away. It's clear this guy isn't just an ordinary person, and this time, Joe decides not to hold back either. He reluctantly cashes in his hard-earned skill points, feeling a bit bummed since he'd squirreled them away for his dream of starting a company. But hey, no time to dwell. Once the points are spent and the exchange is done, he feels a surge of strength pulsing through his body like he just leveled up in a video game. When the clan leader throws another one of those earth-shattering punches, our hero casually blocks it with his hands. Flashing a smirk, he grabs the guy's arm, swings him up into the air, and slams him down hard, creating a massive explosion that sends the cocky dude reeling, spitting blood. The clan leader tries once again using his explosive powers, but my guy is not cutting him any slack. Suddenly, the clan leader's hands morph into these gnarly claws, and he charges like a wild beast. As the boy is on the ground, he watches in awe as the guy transforms into a full-on wild wolf right before his eyes. The wolf makes it clear that our boy might be strong, but he's definitely no match for an awakened. Looks like Zhou Ming didn't know what the hell an awakened person was until now. The monster reveals that only a few people, after absorbing a certain amount of crystals from zombies, can gain enough power to surpass humans. He charges at our hero and slashes his chest effortlessly. As the boy tries to wrap his head around this messed-up fantasy, the wolf lunges at him again. Joe looks at the girls and realizes that if he keeps fighting, they might get caught in the crossfire. So, he taunts the wolf, calling him a pretty dog, and challenges him to chase him down. Joe promises to give him a bone to chew on if he can catch him. The wolf roars in anger at the insult. Our hero jumps away, leading the monster into the woods where they can fight alone. The monster tells him to stop hiding and running, but Joe jumps from his tree perch with his blade in hand. The wolf immediately turns around with lightning speed and pins Joe against the tree. The wolf boasts about his lightning-fast senses, claiming no one can ambush him. But Joe wasn't trying to ambush the thick-headed wolf in the first place. He simply puffs up his cheeks and blasts a foul breath right in the wolf's face. The wolf's keen sense of smell betrays him as Joe's bad breath overwhelms him. Joe realizes that no one, especially a wolf with a strong sense of smell, can withstand the stench of dumplings stuffed with chives, eggs, and garlic. The monster gets annoyed and swings his deadly arm at our hero, but Joe grabs his sword and slashes the monster's hand effortlessly, and further cuts it into multiple pieces like it's nothing more than a cucumber. With the monster dead, something shiny catches his eye near its chest, which looks like a rainbow-like crystal. Joe picks it up immediately and absorbs the crystal. A system window pops up, announcing that the host has absorbed a special crystal. The system levels up, granting Joe the skill known as Zombie Lord. With this skill, he gains the ability to resurrect, repair, and control zombie-type creatures that have lost their corpse crystals. Well, looks like our hero stumbled onto something pretty useful. He's stoked that he can now command those defeated zombies. Then bam, a new mission pops up. Build a shelter for at least 100 folks within a month. And as for the rewards, it is a juicy 3,000 points. But here's the kicker. If he fails, it's a death for our hero. The guy's freaking out about the stakes, but he shakes it off and decides to roll with it. Fast forward a good chunk of the day, and we're back at base camp. There's this new chick, Tina, introducing herself to our hero. Turns out she saved her sister Shunuo 3 years ago, and now she's rocking it as a solo zombie hunter. The boy is amazed that such a young girl can hunt zombies on her own. Shuno then informs our hero that she is awakened, so that much is expected of her. The boy's still curious about this awakened stuff, so Tina fills him in. Some humans, after getting infected by those zombies, don't turn into zombies themselves. Instead, they form these colorful crystals in their heads. If they get a special corpse crystal, it can awaken them with insane powers. That's what they call being awakened. Tina's special deal is turning stuff into explosives, and she proves it by blowing up a glass right then and there. Our boy's jaw drops at this, because awakened folks sound almost invincible to him. But Shuno sets him straight, saying it's not quite that simple. Awakened are also tiered like zombies, and they have 9 levels in total. Tina is probably rocking level 3, and the guy our hero defeated was likely a level 4. Tina vows her loyalty to our hero forever, impressed by how he took down the Wolf Clan leader so effortlessly. The boy grins with happiness and promises Tina a lifetime of meals as well. Later on, our hero confronts the Wolf Clan leader's former lackeys. They explain they were just farmers from Dark Moon Farm whose land was stolen by the wolf leader, and now that he's gone, they're grateful to our hero for freeing them. The boy brushes off their praise but suggests they return to farming on their recovered land. However, the farmers point out that the lands are still occupied by the lackeys of the wolf leader, so they insist on staying at our hero's place and promise to work hard as long as they get enough food. After thinking it over, our hero decides to let them stay, seeing it as a step toward building his base there. But these two feisty ladies are eager to teach those guys a lesson. Later on, we find ourselves at Dark Moon Farm, where everyone is fighting to become the gang leader. Our hero intervenes, asking if the strongest is supposed to lead, then he's happy to take charge. He jumps in and immediately and takes down both contenders. Tina joins the fray as well, blasting the whole place with her bombs. The other farmers also get riled up and decide to avenge their fallen comrades. 30 minutes later, those once eager fighters are all laid out on the ground defeated. Our boy then reassures the farmers that the land now rightfully belongs to them again. But the original farmers remain concerned about future invasions. They propose that our hero take over leadership of Dark Moon Farm to keep them safe. Without hesitation, our guy declares them all his brothers now, promising food, unity, and defense against any threats. Everyone rallies behind him, ready to face whatever comes their way. Just then, a system message pops up, alerting our hero that he lacks sufficient rights to manage the refuge. The system reveals the stats of Dark Moon Farm. Population at 43, low food and water production, weak defense and offense levels, and other crucial metrics that highlight the need for improvement. So, our guy starts sweating bullets when he sees that he is totally dependent on having those crystal crops and gold to beef things up. Just when he's about to lose it, Wenwen jumps in with good news. They've found the starving Wolfgang's stash of gold and crystals. She proceeds to open the chest, while her own chest from behind is totally exposed, ready to be pierced down. Meanwhile, our hero's trying to stay focused on the treasure, but he can't help but sneak a glance at Wenwen's peachy ass. Inside the treasure box, they hit the jackpot with tons of gold and shiny crystals. They're both grinning from ear to ear. Then Wenwen drops the bombshell. Despite their newfound riches, their base is seriously short on manpower. If a stronger force catches wind of this place, defending it could be a nightmare. So, the boy comes up with this crazy idea. He gathers up all those fallen folks and, with the help of his system, he starts summoning them back. When that weird blue energy hits the ground, bam! These guys start rising up like it's nothing. Tina's freaking out seeing this undead revival show, and Junwo is ready to blast them to bits, but our hero steps in quickly. He explains they're not your usual zombies, but soulless corpses he's personally resurrected. The lady's still skeptical, but the boy hands an axe to one of these revived dudes, proving he's got some special power to control these undead suckers. So these zombies start chopping wood, and one of them accidentally lops off another zombie's head in the process. Seeing that total freak show, our hero is totally creeped out. The lady's not sure if these undead guys can actually work, but then our tech-savvy scientist gal jumps in with a brainwave manipulation device. Zohu's face lights up like a kid at Christmas, and the lady explains how it works. One chip in the headset, the other in the zombie's brain, and boom. The zombie is in the control baby. He tries to test it out by grabbing something nearby, which just happens to be Junuo's peachy rear. That doesn't go over well. She kicks the zombie for his uncalled-for antics. Looks like our hero felt that same brutal kick as the zombie did, but that sparked another idea in his mind. He gathers everyone around to pitch his plan. The two ladies look confused at first, but soon they're seen effortlessly taking down zombies left and right. Joe films the entire scene with his camera, and when the girl asks what he is going to do with this, he just tells her she will know it soon enough. Meanwhile, our guy is back on Earth editing the footage, adding cool transitions and tweaking with After Effects. With a flourish, he uploads the finished video to YouTube. He settles back at his computer, rubbing his groggy eyes as he fires up his MacBook. Checking the video, he's amazed to see it has racked up a ton of views. Comments are pouring in, with everyone trying to be part of the beta access. Even executives from big-name companies are intrigued to see this preview of this game. Wang Xiaoju, the chairwoman of Future Technology Co., Well2DIT instructs her team to flood the comments section with requests for closed beta access. She's convinced this game could be a game changer for their company if it lives up to the hype. Even Joey, a retired special officer, is hooked on the game, especially after seeing the realistic firearms and vehicles. Those lucky enough to get beta access receive a mysterious parcel. One of the recipients is a YouTuber, excited to livestream her experience. The parcel she receives contains the same brainwave manipulation device Wenwen invented. She eagerly sets up her stream, ready to show her the first experience of this game to her audience. Back at the farm, the YouTuber girl appears in the apocalyptic world, looking exactly like she does in real life. Our hero has gathered nearly 50 people from his world into this game. Even Shu Nuo is curious about the sudden change in the faces of the corpses. She asks him if he's planning something shady behind the scenes, to which he reassures her, "Just watch and see." Our hero is indeed using these zombies as vessels, and this world as a holographic online simulation to attract players. He collected applications, qualified the players' profiles, and used his ability to turn the zombies' faces into those of the players. Lady Wenwen reports that everything is working just fine, but she's curious how he found 50 people willing to wear the brain manipulation devices. Our hero, hiding his nerves, confidently tells her to just get things rolling. Despite his anxiety, the lady proceeds to launch the brainwave controller, and the dummies that were just standing lifelessly immediately start to move. The players, now inhabiting the zombie bodies, are amazed by how real everything feels. They begin exploring the apocalyptic world, interacting with each other and the environment, completely unaware of the true nature of their experience. Lady Shunuo can't believe these zombies are actually resurrected. Meanwhile, that YouTuber girl squeezes poor Lady Shunuo tightly, having recognized her from a promo video. She's amazed by how realistic everything feels, even the touch. Predictably, our girl promptly slaps the YouTuber across the face, which weirdly delights the purple-headed lady because she can feel the pain so realistically. The whole setup feels like time travel. The other players are also blown away by the experience. Even company leader Wang Xiaoju has found her way into the game. And that retired soldier? He admits everything feels real, though his body's a bit stiff. Just then, our hero Zhou Ming dramatically coughs, capturing everyone's attention. He welcomes them to Darkroom Refuge and introduces himself as its leader. He urges everyone to prepare for the new life ahead. First off, he lays down some ground rules. The most serious one, death in this game means your account gets wiped immediately. If you want to keep playing, you'll have to start over with a new character. That YouTuber girl Eggplant pipes up again, marveling at how realistic the NPCs look. She gets uncomfortably close to our hero, hiding a dagger behind her back. But before she can strike Zhou with that dagger, a bullet drills a hole through her head, eliminating her from the game instantly. After shooting her down, he addresses everyone, asking if they now understand why he emphasized the importance of not dying. Everyone feels uneasy, when suddenly the annoying eggplant lady comes back to life, seemingly happy, and mentions how realistic the feeling of dying was. Our hero proceeds to explain the second rule, that NPCs are different from players, and it's prohibited to harm or kill NPCs within the refuge camp. Violators will be immediately disqualified. He reveals that players can distinguish NPCs from players using the Observe command. The retired soldier Joey speaks up, questioning whether the rules apply outside the refuge camp. The hero confirms with a no, stating that the game offers high degrees of freedom. Theoretically, players can do whatever they want as long as they have the strength and equipment. The lady CEO raises a valid point, questioning how they'll build strength and gather equipment in such a realistic game. She wonders if it would not feel odd blasting everything like in other games. The boy explains that after killing zombies, they'll earn loot drops called corpse crystals, which can be traded for attributes and equipment. Completing NPC tasks in the shelter can also boost the shelter's reputation, which can be exchanged for materials and gear. He instructs everyone to mentally summon their stats and details by saying, "System." With an enthusiastic gunfire, he urges everyone to embark on adventures and enjoy themselves. As everyone ventures into the forest, two fans of the eggplant YouTube girl are seen teasing and praising her confidence. She declares she won't do any tedious shelter tasks, preferring to level up by killing monsters instead. When real zombies appear, she brandishes her dagger confidently, preaching about her courage and determination. But her bravado is short-lived as she's quickly overpowered and gets back to Dark Moon Refuge. The lady approaches our hero timidly, asking if there are tasks that don't involve combat. With a hint of pride, he lists all the non-combat tasks available at the refuge: farming, gathering grains, building houses, and more, all free to choose from. The lady reluctantly picks plowing the land tasks first. My guy proudly gestures towards the field where people are working under the scorching sun. But his attention is quickly grabbed by someone asking to buy equipment. It's retired soldier Joey, holding a handful of corpse crystals. Joe is shocked to see Joey with so many crystals and asks how he collected them. Joey casually explains he found and killed zombies to gather them. The boy is bewildered but hands over a pistol, giving Joey a thumbs up for his efforts. Joey plays around with the gun, marveling at how real it feels in his hand. The boy sheepishly waves him off, telling him to return if he gets more loot to spend. The boy finds the soldier to be quite strong and is eager to enlist his help in his grand plan. Suddenly he's called out again, this time by the lady CEO who also wants to buy weapons. She admits she doesn't have any crystals, but confidently offers real-world cash in exchange for a top-up of virtual currency to buy what she needs. The boy dismisses her, explaining there's no digital money system in the game and all players must play fairly. The CEO lady gets mad, asking why he even made the game if he's not into making money. The boy steps closer uncomfortably and tells her he doesn't care about her status outside the game, but warns her that if she doesn't play fair, he'll come down hard on her. The lady feels increasingly frustrated, annoyed that she's being threatened by what she perceives as an NPC. She storms off, determined to earn crystals on her own. She approaches the workers in the field and offers them hard cash in exchange for virtual crystals for the game. They gladly give her all the crystals they have. Turning back to our hero, the lady hands over the bag of crystals and demands her sweet equipment. As others in the refuge shelter report completing their tasks, Shunuo awkwardly thanks them for their hard work, and the happy workers earn points for their efforts. They then plead with our girl for more tasks so they can earn enough points to swap for equipment as soon as possible. The girl immediately assigns them to help repair the house and gather medicinal ingredients. The duo walks off happily, while the lady remains confused about why they seem so content just working. 3 days pass like this, and we find ourselves in the office, where Wen reveals that in the last 3 days, with the help of the corpse crystals, the reconstruction of Dark Moon Refuge has gone very smoothly. Not only that, but the compensation they requested was also minimal. Shuno mentions that the people seem very energetic, as if they don't get tired from doing a lot of work, and they appear genuinely happy. Our hero happily points out that with this progress, it won't be long before the settlement is ready to expand. The tech geek girl asks our hero to stick around for a bit, saying she's got something to ask. Shuno playfully wonders why they're whispering, teasing if they're trying to confess their love. Our hero tells Shunuo to pipe down and gives Wen the go-ahead to speak. Wen then bluntly states that she is dying to know how the zombies have brains. Our hero saw this coming since it's harder to keep secrets from someone as sharp as Wen compared to Shunuo. He explains it's some wealthy big shots in the settlement city with plenty of cash and time on their hands, just having some twisted fun. Shuno isn't quite convinced, so our hero reassures her that everything he does is about ensuring everyone's survival and making life better. He urges her to trust him. Suddenly, the orange-haired girl rushes into the room, frantically reporting about a commotion outside. As we step outside, we find the YouTube girl being accused by a native resident of this place for theft and robbery. He claims she entered his house in broad daylight and stole his equipment. The lady nonchalantly shrugs it off, arguing that as a player, it's perfectly reasonable for her to enter NPCs' houses and search through their cabinets. That's when our hero strolls onto the scene, asking what the commotion is all about. The guy immediately appeals to our hero, insisting that the lady forcibly entered his house, broke in, and took his equipment right in front of him, acting self-righteous about it. But then the lady defends herself, arguing that this is what complete freedom in the game means to her, so she sees nothing wrong with stealing. The victim grows angrier at the YouTube lady's bold claims. On the other hand, our hero recognizes her value as a YouTuber, which is going to help promote his game, so he carefully chooses his words. He acknowledges the game's freedom, but emphasizes its basic rules. He suggests that they settle the dispute with a bare-handed fight. If the YouTube lady wins, nothing happens. If the man wins, he'll receive double compensation. Both agree to the plan eagerly. The girl takes a stance she learned from kung fu classes, while the man confidently slaps her across the face and continues to deliver punches. The boy declares the victor decided, and the defeated lady reluctantly pays the price in crystals, while the man begrudgingly reconciles with her. From that point onward, he emphasizes that everyone must face consequences for their actions in the game. Meanwhile, back in the real world, people are engrossed in the live broadcast of Eggplant's streaming of the game. Viewers quickly read her positive review of the game as a masterpiece. Deciding to take a break, Eggplant stands up and heads to a nearby utility store for a drink. As she reaches for her favorite drink, she finds another person trying to grab the same bottle, and this newcomer is our hero. It's clear to both of them who the other person is, and they are both shocked to unexpectedly meet each other in real life. Afterwards, they buy some booze, clink glasses, and eat while laughing together. The lady is fascinated to discover that her leader in the game was not just an NPC, but an actual person. On the spot, the boy spins a tale about how this interaction enhances players' gaming experience. He explains that due to a shortage of employees at his company, as the game's producer, he leads by example. The lady expresses her surprise at how ordinary the genius producer of such a well-made game looks. Joe doesn't seem to appreciate all the questions she's asking, but he tries his best to answer. He shifts the conversation, asking about her life as a YouTube streamer. The lady sighs and admits it's messy, revealing that as a gamer girl, people are only interested in her skills, which disappoints her because she feels her appearance isn't less attractive. Joe agrees, joking that she could easily earn money just by showing off her assets on stream. The lady blushes and asks if she's really that attractive. The boy jokingly suggests he's already thinking about leveraging her looks for the game's advantage. He then gets down to business, asking her to provide some player feedback. He wonders if she sees any areas for improvement in his game, Dark End Times. The lady suggests that firstly, the current game content feels too limited, and introducing a dungeon system would add more depth and interest. Instead of just offering feedback, she proposes that he experience his own game as a player. The boy immediately praises her for the great advice, causing her to blush when he unexpectedly hugs her. He decides to head back to work on improving the game and thanks her sincerely. Finally, he leaves her alone there in the room. Back in the game world, the system announces a new feature, the Trial Grounds. It explains that players can defeat monsters in these grounds to earn rewards. The The grounds are divided into 10 levels, with higher levels offering greater difficulty and rewards. Our hero immediately spends 500 points to create Trial Ground Level 1. The system takes its time to generate the trial lands, and once complete, a portal opens to the zombie jungle, the designated trial ground. Hoping everyone will enjoy the challenge, he rallies the crowd and announces another piece of good news. The game now includes a dungeon system. Players can enter for the cost of 1 topaz, and the rewards are substantial. He encourages everyone to participate in these challenges. Everyone is hyped up by the news, and our hero is pleased to see their excitement. He's glad that Eggplant's advice is finally proving useful, as he can identify the game's shortcomings from a player's perspective. Calling on his system, he spends 100 points to transform his appearance to look more like a player. Thank God he changed, as we will not have to see that ugly face of his once again. Meanwhile, Eggplant is asking other players if anyone wants to team up for the dungeon, as they need 3 more members. Our hero approaches her from behind, asking if he can join her team. When she turns around and sees him, she gets all flustered and charmed by his new look, and she doesn't even recognize him, which leaves our hero a bit embarrassed. As the lady scrutinizes him more closely, she starts to realize he looks familiar. Our hero suggests they might have met before, but quickly changes the subject, urging her to recruit more people. Suddenly, more people catch their attention, and they ask if they'd like to join the team. Noticing their jacked-up bodies, she immediately deems them a good choice and allows them to join. Once the team is complete, she's all fired up and ready to clear the dungeon. Seeing her playful side, our hero figures that's probably why she didn't recognize him, but he's not complaining. Finally, they're ready to enter the portal. Some team members who've done dungeons before mention this place is tough to conquer and wonder if their equipment is too low level. Eggplant riles up her crew, confidently claiming her team will be the first to clear the dungeon. However, a system notification pops up, announcing that someone named Chow Yu has already cleared it. Eggplant's dreams of being the first are shattered, but then she scoffs, saying they're here to play the game, not to worry about who clears the dungeon first. Our hero quickly stops the soldier who cleared the dungeon and offers him a potion, advising him to drink it to avoid getting killed by bandits on the way back. The man gratefully accepts the bottle and thanks our hero for his generosity. A guy behind Joe cockily asks why he's giving out supplies to strangers that could help them in the dungeon. Joe firmly responds that it's his stuff and none of anyone's business what he does with it, leaving the guy seething in anger over the remark. The lady finally decides to head into the dungeon, and everyone starts to fade from their places, finding themselves inside the dungeon. Their mission is simple: kill the lower-level boss within 60 minutes. Eggplant is absolutely thrilled to see such realistic and vibrant surroundings, glad that our hero took her suggestions into consideration. The boy asks her if she knows the producer of the game. She proudly says yes, mentioning that she even taught him many things. Suddenly, one guy's face goes pale as he notices snakes surrounding them completely. These slithery friends waste no time lunging at everyone with their mouths wide open. The lady is absolutely startled and frozen with fear. But the boy immediately slices a snake in two and tells her that it's not the time to be scared because venomous snakes have little blood and can be killed in one hit. The other party members seem to be enjoying themselves while cutting down those creatures. The lady still fears these monsters, but she musters up her courage, grabs one of the snakes, and squeezes it hard enough that its eyes pop out of their sockets. Eventually, she tears the snake in two. Once the snakes are down, the lady finally takes a breather. But then one of the dudes gets shocked and shouts in fear. When everyone looks around, they see that one of the guys has been bitten by a snake. He looks miserable and tells his friends to go on without him, but our hero reassures him, saying the poison isn't that potent and he should be fine once it's out. One of the dudes steps forward to suck out the poison from his friend's hand. Right on cue, he starts sucking the shoulder of his friend, and the creepy sight absolutely leaves our hero's eyes bleeding from how horrible it looks doing this lovey-dovey thing. The lady then pulls our hero aside and, once they're alone, she points out that her HP is dropping as well, because the snake has bitten her in a private area. The boy hesitates to look at her chest, but the lady tells him there's no need to feel uncomfortable since it's just a game. Our hero immediately agrees and confidently pins her to the tree, saying he's going to do what she asked. He starts sucking her chest, and the girl can't help but enjoy it a bit because it feels ridiculously real. The lady feels absolutely embarrassed afterward, while our hero seems to have had fun. Meanwhile, the other snake-bitten guy is feeling better and thanks his friend for helping him. The friend, feeling embarrassed, admits he was also bitten somewhere he can't openly tell, but the baldy insists on helping his friend. And when the baldy sees his friend starting to pull his pants down, he gets absolutely anxious and terrified. Meanwhile, our duo comes back, asking if those guys are done sucking and ready to move on. That is when Zhou Ming is a bit taken aback when he sees the badly involved with his friend's butt. The poor guy quickly clarifies it's not what they think, but our boy and the girl immediately tell them to keep their distance from now on. After a while, we see a swamp bubbling up, and our party keeps moving. The girl points out that since it's called Zombie Jungle, she hasn't seen a single zombie monster in this whole dungeon. The Baldy reassures her, saying even if zombies show up, he'll have her back. But the lady is still creeped out by this guy, and makes it clear she doesn't want to be protected by someone who likes to suck holes as a hobby. Suddenly, the swamp reacts, and a zombie emerges, immediately biting the bald guy's shiny head. This creature is a swamp zombie, a low-level zombie known for its sneaky attacks. In a swift move, our hero grabs his sword and slashes at the zombie's face, cutting it down instantly and causing it to fall to the ground. The bald guy remarks that our hero's sword technique is incredibly strong, almost cutting his scalp. He jokingly asks if our hero is a warrior in real life. Sheepishly, our hero responds that he knows a thing or two about cutting things. However, the lady interrupts their banter, warning them to stop because ahead of them, a bunch of monsters are waiting to ambush them. Joming was initially worried about handling the first-rate zombies alone, concerned about what the other players might do if left to fend for themselves. But turns out, those worries were totally unnecessary. The bald dude, now seriously ticked off, rips off his shirt and instantly transforms into a massive, Hulk-like figure. His muscles are bulging like crazy. Our hero is shocked to see this because this transformation reveals his skill called Muscle Stream, a reflection of his real-life fitness training prowess. He dives into the fray, swinging his axe with precision and chopping down zombies like they're just cucumbers. Joming's blown away by how the players' real-world skills translate into their in-game characters so vividly. After mowing through a bunch of monsters, the Baldy suddenly steams down and reverts to his scrawny self in a flash, looking even skinnier than before. It seems like Xiao Ming's skill, Muscle Stream, has its drawbacks. It can only be sustained for a short burst, leaving him temporarily weakened afterward. Joming is visibly frustrated that Xiao Ming used such a risky skill so casually. Just as tension mounts, a side mission pops up, bringing a smile back to Joming's face. The mission requires him to simultaneously defeat 10 swamp zombies, promising a reward of muscle strengthening. As the swamp zombies start pouring out, Joming directs everyone to climb up into the trees while he takes care of the zombies below. The cap guy is annoyed by this retreat, but the lady calmly instructs him to follow Joming's lead. Once the zombies are about to emerge onto dry land, our hero grabs his sword once again, charged with crackling electricity. He thrusts the sword deep into the ground, electrifying the entire pond and giving those creeps the shock of their lives. After finishing that, he receives a notification about the mission's complete success and his newfound muscle-strengthening skills. The lady is absolutely amazed to see that he annihilated all of them in one powerful swing. Meanwhile, Baldy seems to be stuck in the swarm. He grabs the lady's leg, asking her to assist him, but the poor guy gets brutally kicked after being mistaken for an undead zombie and sinks further into the swarm. The two idiots standing behind feel a bit awkward seeing her literally step over him. The lady immediately tries to apologize, but the Baldy appears too frustrated to cut her any slack. The boy then calls out to assist him while the lady questions the Baldy why he even used that dangerous skill in the first place. The notification arrives that the final boss is about to appear, and they better prepare for the battle. The boy immediately takes his stance, cautioning everyone to be careful. This monster turns out to be a swamp corpse flower that enjoys consuming dead creatures. The Baldy once again decides to use his giant muscle body to take down this trash flower, but our duo quickly advises him not to use his ability. The Baldy seems confused and meekly asks why, to which our hero explains that the side effects of using that skill are too great, and he won't have the energy to keep the Baldy safe once he's exhausted. The Baldy decides to switch to guns instead, but his cap-wearing friend reminds him that they're just regular players and guns and ammo cost a fortune. Well, I guess there's nothing to worry about, because my man here's loaded with guns and stuff tucked inside his coat. Both guys are really impressed by this. Soon, the monster faces a barrage of bullets from the lady, and the Baldy and cap guy join in with their guns. Just when our hero thinks victory is in the bag, the lady shockingly reveals that the HP they knocked down from the monster has started recovering again. As the monster grabs an undead swamp zombie and devours it, its health bar jumps back to 100%. Our hero realizes they'll have to deal with the swamp zombies first because this monster can regenerate health by eating them. The lady worries they won't be able to defeat the monster at this rate, but our hero reassures her to wait until they've dealt with the swamp zombies. Suddenly, the monster extends its slimy root towards the lady and grabs her, intending to drop her into its belly. My guy gets totally furious seeing this and decides to take down this flower himself, with the other two goons jumping in to help. The monster tightens its grip, leaving the girl squirming in pain as her clothes tear. She angrily asks why they aren't helping her. Our hero explains that his skills are on cooldown, while the other two claim they're out of ammo. But truth to be told, these perverts are too busy drooling over her exposed body to lend a hand. Fuming at these creeps enjoying her misery, the lady grabs a gun and blasts the roots herself. As the roots are cut off, she starts to fall. Our hero steps in, playing the role of a prince, and catches her right in his arms. Suddenly, the monster retaliates with its roots again, but Zhou Ming swiftly slices them off. The monster squirms in pain, letting out a massive roar that forces them to cover their ears to protect their eardrums. Meanwhile, Zhou's electrical energy returns. He leaps from the ground and smashes his sword into the earth, delivering a powerful shock that leaves the creature burned to a crisp, collapsing on the ground. My guy confidently puts down his sword, boasting that he didn't need his full power to handle a mere second-tier zombie. Just as they think it's over, the paralyzed monster starts moving again, growing back up, looking more vile and vicious than ever. The system points out that the swamp corpse flower has been angered, triggering its mutation into its next form. Meanwhile, the Baldy is feeling ecstatic at the monster's mutation, thinking of all the extra rewards they'll score if they beat it. On the other hand, our hero is utterly bewildered by how this is even possible. He points out that the boss should be paralyzed due to the electric shock. That's when the YouTube lady chimes in, pretending to adjust her imaginary glasses to look nerdy, and suggests that this monster might be like a Pokemon Venus flytrap, immune to electrical powers. The boy playfully gives a pinch at the lady's head for her genius idea, but the monster doesn't wait for their banter and immediately throws these ball-like things out of its mouth. Our hero sidesteps the projectile easily, but it turns out this saliva isn't just sticky random shit, but rather it's dissolving the tree upon impact. Chu immediately warns everyone about the corrosive slime, but it seems he's too late as those two fools are already stuck in the gooey substance. The lady continues to call for help from behind, and when our hero looks over, he sees her clothes already burned. In just a few minutes, her entire outfit has disintegrated. The boy rushes to her side, offering his coat, but just then the monster throws more slimy balls. My guy slashes them down swiftly, but some of the goo ends up landing on his hand, causing an immediate burn. At that moment, the muscle-bound cap guy steps in, revealing he's actually a chemistry teacher. He claims to have a skill related to his field in this world. He explains excitedly that his skill allows him to combine the chemical properties of two items to create new properties. Now armed with a bottle of petrol and a piece of cloth, he confidently declares he can turn them into a knockout solution. Seeing this, our hero snatches the new item and cockily remarks that this chemistry skill isn't worth a penny, as all it did was mix two things together and makes it clear that he can do it better. The boy fires the bottle and throws it towards the monster, which explodes upon impact, engulfing the monster in flames. In a matter of seconds, it disintegrates into ashes, and the system congratulates them on defeating the boss monster successfully, promising extra rewards for taking down a mutated foe. Everyone is over the moon to see elite-class treasure chests shimmering before their eyes. The Baldy puffs up his chest and finds a super muscle potion powder, promising increased muscle strength. The so-called chemistry teacher guy finds a shiny but ultimately useless armor. Meanwhile, the lady uncovers a skill book that enhances her shooting abilities. Lastly, Zhou also opens up his chest. At first, he has no clue what to expect, but everyone's eyes start sparkling with amazement because there's an egg inside. The boy is clueless about what to expect from this egg, and even the system doesn't offer any information other than saying its origin is unknown and it can't be hatched. 3 days later, everything's chill and peaceful in the Dark Moon clan. Then, a notification pops up, saying they've had great game results and new registrations are opening soon. It urges everyone to play nice and make the game even better. Everyone is happy to see that there will be more people joining their base. A new guy with sparkling eyes asks the lady if she knows how to level up quickly in the early stages. The lady simply hands him some tools and advises him that if he wants to get rich, he should start by cutting down trees and upgrading and plowing the ground first. The newcomers eagerly look forward to this task and immediately begin plowing the land. Meanwhile, back in the office, Lady Wen reports to our hero that the new crew is way more hardworking than the first bunch, and the shelter construction is going even smoother. The boy grins and says it's just the beginning. The real fun is yet to come. Checking the clan's progress, they've made big strides. The standout is now having 89 people in their clan, which means there's a surplus of labor. The lady wonders aloud if they should set up more bases to create more job opportunities. The boy starts thinking it over and concludes that to keep people engaged in new activities, he should expand. He asks if there are any strongholds near Dark Moon Refuge that could be used. The lady confirms there are, but they're already occupied by zombies. Not only that, these strongholds fall under the management of central settlements, requiring authorization to obtain management rights. She reveals that after the apocalyptic crisis, the regime collapsed and the rules shattered. Settlements began managing their territories independently. Each one's managed by different big shots, but the top dog, known as the Viper, reigns over the central settlements and calls the shots. But the boy brushes off the concern, confident that as long as they can amass power, everything will go smoothly. Suddenly, Juno arrives with terrible news. A small team from the central settlements has shown up to collect taxes. Looks like our boy has not to wait anymore since he was already eager to be done with these folks. Outside, a portly guy with his crew introduces himself as a tax officer sent by the settlement center. According to the law, 50% of the output must be paid as taxes every month. He demands the clan hand over what they owe. The farmers voice their disagreement, reminding him that when this place was under the starving wolf clan's rule, no tax collector dared to show up. The fatty immediately pulls out his gun, shutting down their objections. He squeezes the trigger without a second thought, but his jaw drops when the bullet lands square in the chest of none other than the chemistry teacher guy. Looking anxious and bewildered, the fatty glances around, expecting to see someone injured or worse. The farmer asks the teacher if he's okay, and the teacher assures that he's fine, all thanks to his armor. While he boasts about his protective gear, the others find it quite creepy that he willingly took a bullet to the chest. Nevertheless, our hero, Jo Ming, shows up and introduces himself as the leader of the refuge. The fatty introduces himself as well and demands the taxes to be paid. But the boy immediately reminds the fatty that when the starving wolf clan occupied this place, no one came to help the people, so it doesn't make sense why they should pay any taxes now. The fatty responds, insisting that the central settlement has strong military power which can't be ignored. Besides, they have already sent people here multiple times. But the boy calls out the fatty for only showing up to exploit honest poor people, never caring otherwise. Since our hero isn't backing down, the fatty decides to shoot him. Before firing, he gives a final warning. Either pay taxes or our hero gets a bullet in his chest, confident that he's the only one here with high-tech weapons. But my guy just snaps his fingers, and a whole platoon armed with high-tech weapons appears on the scene. Meanwhile, the guys stand shoulder to shoulder, grinning and enjoying the sight of the fatty making a terrified face. Reluctantly, the fatty decides to retreat for now, but Jo Ming pulls out his own guns and declares he's not backing down. The fatty remains cocky and arrogant with his words, leading to another hole being added by our hero next to his original one. His entourage helps him walk away, his rear end still bleeding from the gunshot, and he continues to spout threats. The lady and the rest of the crew respond with a middle finger and some sharp remarks. However, Lady Wenwen is absolutely terrified because they've just offended the central authority, and that's never a good thing. But the boy declares he doesn't give a damn when it comes to his clan's people's well-being, and he'll never bow his head to others. The lady agrees, pointing out that our hero is right, and these newcomers seem genuinely courageous and ready to fight, unlike the previous batch. The boy nods in agreement, especially after observing them. They look like they're from chaotic evil camps. The scene shifts to the notorious Central Settlement, where we meet the Viper for the first time. The fatty immediately briefs his boss on how these guys shot him and are ready to rebel against the settlement. The Viper isn't thrilled to hear his lackey got shot in the buttocks, but the lackey pleads like a cute puppy, arguing for a chance to teach those rowdy people a lesson. The Viper decides to swing by and see our hero himself, curious about Jo Ming and wanting to check out his achievements, but he insists on bringing a gift. The lackey asks what kind of gift they should prepare, and the boss immediately says he wants that fathead's head. Next thing you know, a snake goes right through the fatty's noggin. A few days later at Dark Moon Refuge, everything seems chill. People are having a good time, though there's the usual bickering over little stuff. Meanwhile, our hero's up there with his binoculars, scanning the whole refuge camp. He checks the stats and sees there's more people now. The system says the overcrowding is messing with things, decreasing everyone's fun. Joe grabs his head in confusion, unsure how to handle the increasing number of residents without more uncharted locations or places to expand their territory. Suddenly, a Lamborghini zooms into the scene, speeding through the refuge camp. Everyone perks up at the sight, and two people step out of the car. One is the Viper himself, and the other is likely his secretary. The Viper politely requests to meet the leader of the settlement. The farmers, however, get defensive and ask if he's here to cause trouble. But the Viper maintains his politeness and apologizes for the trouble caused by his subordinate. To make amends, he presents a gift to the people here. The lady reveals the gift. The head of that fatty guy, the tax officer. Everyone is shocked to see the head of the tax officer presented as a gift. At that moment, our boy himself shows up and promptly invites the Viper into his office to talk. The Viper exchanges pleasantries and asks our hero to lead the way. But before heading, he instructs his secretary to guard the door and notify him immediately if anything seems off. Our hero leads the Viper into the office, while the lady remains outside, keeping a watchful eye as instructed. The Baldy can't help but marvel at how realistic the NPCs in this world look. The YouTube lady decides to approach the secretary with her usual energy, but retired soldier Joey warns her against it. The lady proudly asserts that she's brave and great at flirting with girls, so she'll handle it fine. So, Lady Eggplant starts playfully teasing the secretary girl. The secretary challenges her, saying if Lady Eggplant can beat her, she can do anything she wants. The others in the background get excited to watch these two girls spar. Meanwhile, back in the office, our hero politely asks the Viper why he's here. The Viper bluntly states he's interested in the refuge settlement. If our hero hands it over to him, he promises a reward that would set him up for life. Not only that, he offers access to the noble area of the central settlement, where our hero could live like a king. Shuming wonders if such a heavenly place exists in this world. The Viper asserts that what others see as hell is only for the weak. For strong individuals like our hero and himself, it's paradise. He makes it clear that as long as individuals are strong, they can have women. Wealth. The Viper viciously states that our hero doesn't need to bother with the insignificant fools of this refuge settlement, as they would also be treated well. The boy smiles and considers it an attractive deal, but he bluntly refuses to give up his territory. Viper's face turns cocky upon hearing the rejection, feeling utterly humiliated. Zhou emphasizes that he values freedom and refuses to be confined like a canary in a cage. The Viper becomes increasingly aggressive, warning our hero that there were others who spoke like him once, but they now lie 6 feet under. But then our hero proposes that they can still strike a deal. He grabs the map and points out to the Viper that there's a notorious robber organization called Vulcan Gang operating on the business road. They frequently ambush caravans sent by the central settlement, causing significant losses. The Viper nods in agreement, mentioning that this gang has even occupied a metallurgical factory and is well equipped, making it difficult for past crusades to make a dent. Dramatically, the boy marks the enemy territory on the map with his dagger and outlines the terms of the deal. Our hero offers to assist the Viper in eliminating the Vulcan gang. In return, the Viper's caravans would be allowed safe passage without interference, on the condition that they leave our hero and his settlement alone. The man then retrieves the contract, admitting that our hero's terms are quite attractive, signaling that once signed, the deal will be officially established. The Viper proceeds to leave, mentioning he expects good things from our hero. Suddenly, Zhou hears shouting about a fight outside. He rushes out and finds the lady secretary has taken on a few of the locals who challenged her. The Viper asks what happened, and the girl casually explains they were just having some fun. Seizing the opportunity to gloat, the Viper remarks on the need for serious training among our hero's team. But Zhou confidently assures him they're like a pack of wild dogs, tough and ready to defend themselves tooth and nail. The Lamborghini speeds away from the scene, and on their way, the Viper inquires about the strength of the Dark Moon clan. The lady explains they're mostly a group of mobs, but there are a few individuals who haven't shown their full hand, leaving her uncertain about their true capabilities. But she also points out that those guys gave her a strange feeling, as if they weren't afraid of death at all. The Viper dismisses them, saying those fools will meet their end soon enough. True to the Viper's words, these fools keep dying repeatedly, only to be resurrected each time. Zhou then rallies the entire settlement, announcing that the game is launching a limited-time event known as Suppressing the Vulcan Gang. The Baldy asks what makes these events different. Our hero explains that in limited-time events, the enemies cannot respawn. Each time they defeat an enemy, they earn valuable event points, and the top 3 killers in the event can also earn extra rewards. Hearing this, the girl immediately starts running excitedly to take down the Vulcan Gang, but the boy reminds her that he hasn't finished laying out all the rules yet. The lady insists she doesn't care as long as she can defeat their enemies, but our hero points out she's heading in the wrong direction because the Vulcan Gang isn't located there. Shuno then reveals that the Vulcan Gang is much stronger than the Starving Wolf clan they previously defeated, and if they fail, they could lose everything to the Viper. But the boy confidently shrugs off her worries. The lady remains unsatisfied, so he reveals that his clan members are like a force of nature themselves, so there's no way they'll lose against some pesky gang. The next scene takes us to the Vulcan Gang's territory, where people are desperately offering crystals and valuables in exchange for protection. This cocky thug just scoffs, saying it's not enough. He cruelly douses a little girl's body with petrol and ignites his lighter, threatening her mother to reveal where they've hidden their valuables. The terrified mother insists they have nothing left, banging her head against the floor and pleading for her daughter's life. The gang member becomes even more arrogant, accusing the mother of dishonesty as she continues to beg for mercy. In a shocking turn, he prepares to throw the lighter on the little girl. She cries out for someone to save her before the flames touch her damp clothes. Suddenly, someone snatches the lighter mid-air, and it's of course our hero. He casually lights his own cigarette with the lighter, reminding the cocky gang member that gasoline is a precious resource, which is only meant for burning people like the 2 brothers from the Vulcan Gang. The gang leader threatens our hero, letting him know that meddling in business that doesn't belong to him will come at a high price. The YouTube girl stands by our hero's side, declaring she'll be the one messing up this dude's weird hairstyle. The cocky guy grabs his flamethrower in response to the insult to his hair, unleashing a torrent of flames toward the girl. She starts to burn, feeling every searing bit of the heat, while the cocky guy cruelly laughs at her suffering. Our hero reminds her she's just a player in this game. Despite being on fire, she somehow keeps her cool and jokes that she's finally experiencing what it's like to be a human torch. Totally confused, Mr. Cocky asks how she's even still standing. Without missing a beat, the girl gathers herself and shoves the cocky thug back with her burning body, intentionally setting him on fire too. The cocky guy squirms like a chicken after tasting some hot fire. Back at Dark Moon Refuge, all the party members gather around the tied-up cocky guy in a chair. Joe presses him for information about the Vulcan gang, promising to spare his life if he cooperates. But the cocky guy stubbornly refuses, declaring he won't betray Lord Vulcan and showing no fear. The retired soldier grabs a red-hot rod and holds it close to the cocky guy, asking if he's feeling scared now. The cocky guy boasts that all Vulcan gang members are baptized by the holy fire, and even if they're burned, they won't give up. The cocky guy turns into a chicken when the soldier states he never planned to burn him. Instead, he makes it clear that he's going to insert this red-hot iron rod into one of his holes and reminds him that this is 800 degrees Celsius we're talking about. The soldier asks one last time what the cocky guy plans to do. In response, the dude starts crying and decides to spill everything, begging them to keep that rod away. The soldier casually throws the rod aside and tells his friends that it was easier than he thought. Meanwhile, all the other subordinates, including our hero, are trembling in fear, keeping their hands behind them and hiding their buttholes. Our hero asks where the soldier learned that kind of method, to which the soldier responds that he picked it up in Afghanistan. The trembling cocky guy asks if he'll be spared once he spills everything. Our hero reassures him they're not monsters, and the man reveals that their older brother, known as Vulcan, was a full-on pyromaniac who spent years expanding his power by murdering and setting fires. What's more, Vulcan's twisted joy was watching people burn alive. The other players are hyped to face off against such a tough NPC villain. Meanwhile, Zoe keeps pressing the captive about his boss and where they've stashed all that gold, insisting he can almost smell the riches waiting to be found. The captive keeps pleading ignorance, but the boy remains optimistic, daydreaming about swimming in piles of treasure, convinced they're on the brink of a major score. The soldier grills the captive about the Vulcan gang's manpower and gear. The guy spills that there's around 100 strong under Vulcan's command, armed with nasty stuff like petrol bomb sprayers called destroyers. Plus, they've laid mines all around their turf. When asked how they'll crack the gang's defenses, our hero casually shrugs and suggests they'll figure out a way inside, while nudging the captive to help them get access to Vulcan's hideout. The guy explains that they'll have to undergo Vulcan's baptism, a trial where they endure their arm being scorched by fiery flames. It's a test recognized by the god of Vulcan, but fear of pain and death is the last thing our hero and his crew worry about, leaving the poor captive clueless about the kind of trouble he's gotten into. Next, we're at the Vulcan gang's lair, where our hero confronts the gang leader and declares their intention to join up and serve under the boss. The leader asks if they're prepared for the baptism. The lady cheerfully says she is more than ready for this challenge, prompting the leader to instruct one of them to step forward. Our hero steps forward confidently, placing his hand on the table. The orange-headed guy with the flamethrower steps up and immediately throws some hot flames at our hero's way. But Joe seems unfazed, handling the heat like a pro, and mockingly asks if this is actually a baptism. The orange head gets annoyed and cranks up the flamethrower, asking our hero if he is now finally enjoying the intense Vulcan baptism. Our hero replies coolly, saying it feels pretty awesome under the flames. After his turn is over, the lady sneers that our hero is just trying to show off, and bravely volunteers for the fiery baptism. The orange head gives her a controlled burst of fire, because he is confident that it's enough for her. But the girl, initially standing strong, soon starts to squirm in pain as her hand feels the burn. Next up is our retired soldier, who closes his eyes and tells the orange head to start the show. The poor orange head is starting to wonder if any of these three are even normal, but he throws his fiery flames anyway. The soldier endures the heat stoically, unlike our YouTube girl. Impressed by their resilience, the masked guy announces that all three have passed the test and are now official members of the Vulcan gang. The soldier regrets not turning off his pain sensors, but he's not complaining. He wanted a realistic experience of this game. Suddenly, another guy appears, introducing himself as the gang's military advisor. He congratulates everyone for joining and offers them a mission, seeing it as a great opportunity for the newcomers. Our hero quickly figures out that this guy must be testing their abilities with this mission, eager to see what happens next. The YouTube girl is also looking forward to it. As expected, the old man announces their mission, to intercept a commercial vehicle from the central settlement and loot everything. The boy points out that the three of them might be too few for such a job, but the old man assures them that elite members of the gang will join them. The boy thanks the old man for this opportunity, as expected of the counselor. Once they leave their meeting place, they're amazed at how smoothly everything went. The soldier remarks that things are about to get serious, but our hero reassures him that it's just a game, telling him to calm down. Suddenly, something falls from our hero's pocket. When the lady picks up the bottle, she asks, What the hell is this? The boy immediately gets terrified to see this, and the lady reveals that it's the same thing she saw him putting on his body. The boy freaks out, realizing she was peeking at him while he was showering. No wonder he felt cold back then. The lady blushes and denies such accusations, insisting she just happened to pass by. The boy quickly tells her it's just normal sunscreen, but she's not buying this bullcrap. Well, why would a game character need sunscreen? She asks, annoyed. Our hero spins another tale, saying it makes you look attractive. The lady, intrigued, starts demanding some for herself. Well, this isn't actually a beauty cream. Since our hero isn't a virtual character but an actual human, he can't adjust the level of pain like the other players. He has to rely on this tool to pass the Vulcan test. A while later, our hero meets the other party members. The orange head introduces himself as Hot Pot, their senior. Joe then asks Hot Pot if he has any advice, to which Hot Pot replies that he's become a fan of our boy's resilience ever since he passed that baptism test, and now wants to be his pro bro. Joe Ming is a bit creeped out by all the flattery, but reassures him that since they're working together, they're buddies now. Hot Pot then decides it's time to get ready, because their target is about to arrive. So, the entire gang hits the road in their cars. The gang leader watches them go, feeling suspicious about the three newcomers, suspecting they might be spies sent by Viper. The old man agrees, which is why he sent them to steal Viper's own goods. If they show any abnormal behavior during the raid, they can burn them alive. The leader nods, saying they will face death by fire if they deceive him. A while later, we find ourselves at the Wasteland transfer station. There, everyone is eating some weird food. Other than Hot Pot, everyone is creeped out by the raw bull eyeballs. The guys awkwardly say they're not hungry and tell Hot Pot to eat alone. The orange head starts digging into the food, saying they should replenish their energy before the raid. The boy expresses his worry about the raid, saying that if they're going to loot commercial vehicles, they must have guards. If those guards know how to play with fire, things could get tricky. The orange head reassures him, saying they've already arranged road mines and can blow up the convoy car before striking the commercial vehicle. The soldier picks up a mine and, using his military knowledge, explains all the technical specifications of this bad boy. The orange head is amazed by our retired soldier's ability to read the specs at first glance, and makes it clear they're about to teach a lesson with these bad boys. Just then, commotion erupts as the target commercial vehicles roll into view. But before that could happen, the story cuts off right there. Looks like we'll have to wait for the next chapters to drop to see what happens next.